Well, Crawley Town were a phenomenal story in the EFL last season from all sorts of angles. Written off before a ball was kicked, with key players departing here, there, and everywhere. Most of their recruitment from non-league and not necessarily just the National League. And a manager in Scott Lindsey who was to some extent improving despite a decent stint at Swindon Town. But you know what? I was having been at the League Two playoff final myself. I was absolutely over the moon when for them for Crawley Town and for Scott Lindsey when they did beat Crewe Alexandra, because Scott Lindsey is one of the kindest people you'll come across in the game. He's been very open, I think, and vulnerable about some of the experiences that he's had in his life, and I was amazed that I was so happy for him that he was able to experience that euphoria of Crawley Town winning promotion. So incredible story on one of the lowest budgets amid a feeling of chaos perhaps the year before. United have taken a bit of a backward step, and it's made a massive difference to the sense of tranquility around the football club. But bigger challenges are ahead even after that incredible achievement, because they've lost key players. Lawrence Maguire, who they had on loan from Chesterfield, isn't going to return. He's gone to MK Dons. Adam Campbell has gone to Hartlepool. Will Wright has gone to Swindon. And today it's been announced that Danilo Orsi, their talisman, their 23-goal goal scorer, top scorer last season, he's gone to League One Burton Albion. So a big challenge ahead for Crawley Town. They'll be one of the underdogs in League One. Are they ready? And can Scott Lindsey work his magic once again? That's what we're going to be talking about on this Summer Deep Dive. Yes, welcome along to the latest EFL Debate Summer Deep Dive, one of 72 we're doing across the EFL. The full slate for League Two is already uploaded to YouTube and Spotify, so go and check those out. Get yourself subscribed once you're done with this one. For now, I'm delighted to be joined by Sam Jordan from the Simply Redz podcast of the Crawley Town Supporters Alliance. Sam, great to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. How do Crawley Town attack League One and the challenges that comes with that?
Well, so obviously the last time we were in League One was 9 years ago, so it's been a while. Very different style of football now, very different group of players, and a much stronger league, you could argue. Obviously some big teams in there, Charlton, Reading, Birmingham, Huddersfield. I think our recruitment strategy will remain the same. It did us well in League Two. Obviously, League One is a step up, but I think the ownership group trusts our recruitment strategy. Obviously, we've had more outs and ins at the moment, but hopefully over the next few coming weeks, there'll be some more ins, and there'll be some experienced players as well as a bit of youth and a bit of non-league players who can step up. So, look, the only thing I can tell you, Gab, is we're going to finish above every single League Two club next season.
Well, that's a great that'll be a great achievement, absolutely. Talk to me about Scott Lindsey, because we know how great a person he is. I'm sure you've sort of experienced that as a fan base as well, and how he's sort of connected with supporters. He's so personable, but also just some of the ideas that he's brought to the table really were a joy to watch last season, like, for instance, Corey Addai operating as an in possession right back, not something we all had on our bingo cards.
Yeah, I think it's very brave, and it took a long time to kind of get the fans on board and the fans settle down. Sometimes the fans are getting a bit impatient with kind of trying to slowly build up rather than hit the ball long. But now, obviously, with the rewards we've had in the back end of the season, the fans trust him 100%, and the style of play is fantastic. And a lot of people think actually it might suit us better in League One. Rather than League Two, because there's more teams League One that like to play football. But Scott said several times his plan B is do plan A better, and we certainly done plan A well in the second half of last season to obviously get into the playoffs, and then obviously it was fantastic in the playoffs, wasn't it?
Hello. Hi. So let me take you off mute. Can't unmute your guests because they chose. So I think you've got to turn yourself off mute. There you go.
There you go.
Okay, yeah. So, I didn't catch all of that, but I'm sure you've told the guests about the work that Scott Lindsey's done last season, and I think that's really exciting, the work that he's done. But the squad needs a bit of work, especially after those key departures.
Yeah, it does. It does. I think that a lot of players done well out of us last season, didn't they? So if you look at all the players that left so far, kind of before they joined us, didn't really have that much of a long, lengthy career in League Two. So Cerudo didn't play in League Two before joining us. Maguire was playing National League. Obviously, Orsi kind of didn't have a great season at Grimsby. Will Wright wasn't getting the team at Gillingham, so they've done well out of us, and they've obviously taken some hefty wages to sign for some big EFL football clubs, and obviously 3 of the 4 are going to stay in League Two. Obviously, Orsi's just last half an hour we've just seen he's gone to Burton Albion. Obviously, they've got a bit of investment in a new ownership group. So look, they served us really well. Good luck to him, but last season when we were signing Jay Williams and Chloe Lawless, a lot of fans were like, who are these people? What are we doing? And they went on to be 2 of our best players. So obviously we've signed Papadopoulos from Welling, we've signed Charlie Barker from Willstone. If they can turn out to be as good as some of the players signed last summer, then we're going to have a good season.
Let's hope that's the case. Talk to me about Corey Addai and how big a season he had last year, Sam, because it looked like he was hugely influential, especially as sort of growing into the campaign as it went on.
Yeah, his first season, the fans kind of didn't really take to him, but his second season, with the style of play Scott was playing, he was absolutely loving it, and he really suited that style of play. And his shot stopping stats are unbelievable. And obviously the size of him is absolutely massive, isn't he? And he got his toe to the ball in the playoff final, didn't he? When Crewe didn't get the penalty that was given overturned by VAR, and then a smaller keeper's toe wouldn't have reached. So, yeah, look, I mean, I think he'll go on to play top end League One Championship. To be honest with you, hopefully he gives it another year in League One with us, because he's played less than 100 games. So although he's 26 years old, he's played less than 100 games in England. But yeah, he's a big part of our team, not only from the shot stopping point of view, but from the distribution point of view, whether it's passing it short to the back 3 or pinging it long in the channels. A big part of how we play, and obviously as we saw in the first day against MK Dons, played right back for a bit, didn't he? Which was absolutely crazy at the time. It was a bit worrying, but he's so confident on the ball, and the back 3 trust him. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a few clubs sniffing around him in the summer looking to sign a keeper. But I think for Corey, he wants to play, doesn't he? So he's going if he stays with us, he'll play in League One. Whereas he goes to the Championship team, he might be sitting on the bench. And 26 years old, you're kind of coming into your peak as a goalkeeper, aren't you? You want to be in between the sticks on a Saturday.
Certainly do. The defence, you've added to the defence by signing Charlie Barker. Now, I know he's had some excellent reviews from his time in the National League, especially last season. And I know that when he was 17, he came into the Charlton side because at that particular point they were very low on numbers, so they needed to bring through the youth, and he did actually impress at that point under Lee Bowyer as well. So clearly he's got pedigree and potential. So Charlie Barker looks like a good signing.
Yeah, and Willstone, before their gaffer left to go to Notts County, were playing some decent football, weren't they? So obviously Scott's looked at that and he's signed someone who can play our style of football. Obviously Charlie's dad used to be our gaffer as well, which is quite a good story. Richie Barker, who's the assistant at Derby. But yeah, it looks like it could be a replacement for either Will Wright or Lawrence Maguire in the back 3, and comes with decent pedigree. A few other League One clubs are interested in him. Young up and coming player. So yeah, hopefully he can slot into that back 3 and take it to well in League One.
Yeah, absolutely. You've also got Dion Conroy, who's probably one of the core of 5 or 6 players that I'm pretty confident are going to step up to the level. Because I think the only reason why Dion Conroy hasn't been playing League One football earlier is maybe because of the injuries that he's had. But if he can get past that, then there's no stopping him.
Yeah, I think Dion's fantastic. I actually think he was our best player last season. I think obviously the likes of Orsi and Kelly and Williams and Lolos kind of got a lot of the credit, as well as Corey. But Dion in the middle of that back 3, not only defensively is he sound, he's unbelievable on the ball. And he'll do very well in League One. Obviously, he was at Chelsea's academy, so got a good grounding in football. Him and Scott worked together at Swindon. Dion had the skipper's armband for the majority of last season. Yeah, he's a big player for us, and with obviously the two partners either side of him going in Will and Loz. It's really important he stays and we keep him in the middle of the park, and because he'll be important in League One. But he's fantastic. His relationship with Corey is really good as well.
That sounds hopeful. Do you think Joy McKenna's going to have an opportunity to prove himself in pre-season, given you've only got 3 centre backs under contract at the moment, and you do seem to like to play 3 at the back as well? So, is there going to be a window for Joy, do you think?
Yeah, potentially. He came into the side late last season and didn't look out of place. And I know the gaffer's mentioned he's worked hard in training and he's gotten the ball. So, yeah, maybe he'll get a start in pre-season to prove what he can do. And he'll definitely be in and around the squad next season and probably might play more games. But on the ball, he was good. And he obviously needs a bit more experience. But maybe play alongside Dion Conroy, he can have that. But he's definitely got a bright future in the game.
That sounds very hopeful. So I look at the right wing back spot. You've got Adeyemo, who can play right wing back, and you've got Harry Forster, who also can play right wing back, although he more often played on the left. But is that looking like an area right wing back where you're going to need another option there?
I think probably on the left with Cerullo going to Notts County and Jeremy Kelly being the only option on the left, although as you said rightly, Harry can play both sides. It might be the left we look to strengthen. Adeyemo is fantastic going forward, and he just like running at players and his pace and his trickery. And we've had a few Premier League scouts at the ground, I think, watching him, and he's definitely one for the future. And Harry's very similar too. And I think Harry and Adeyemo will definitely be scaring a few League One defences next season. We might look to sign someone on the right. It depends where Scott wants to play Harry, really, because Harry can obviously play on either side. So I think it depends on where Scott sees Harry. We'll probably strengthen the other side.
Interesting. What do you think about Jeremy Kelly then? Do you think he's up to stepping up to League One? Because I suppose he got into Canada under 20s, I think, a few years ago. So clearly he has some sort of potential.
Yeah, when we first signed, I wasn't too sure, but he definitely grew into the season. Obviously, playing the English League for the first time, and he took Nick Cerullo's place, who was a fan favourite and was a regular on the team sheet. Jeremy Kelly was a big part of the reason why we got into the playoffs and obviously successful at Wembley. So, yeah, thankfully he's staying in the UK, and we've given him a 2-year deal, and I think he'll be a regular name on the team sheet in that wing back position. He can also play century as well, so gives us a bit of flexibility for where we can play him.
Yeah, that certainly helps. The big area of strength I think you've got when I look at the squad now, Sam, is the central midfield. Because I thought Jay Williams had a really good season last year, but I really want to talk about Liam Kelly because he's got it's his low centre of gravity. He's got such a quick mind, and that work that he did in the playoff final, where the one-touch link-up play and the way he was able to manipulate the ball in tight areas. For me, I think he could really make that step up to League One and make quite an impact.
Yeah, with ease. He shouldn't have been playing League Two last season. Obviously, didn't have a great time at Rochdale. We've picked him up when no one else wanted him. Fantastic player. I mean, at the League Two playoff second leg, Orsi got a hat trick, and Liam Kelly was still player of the match. I mean, it just demonstrates how well he played, and he was player of the match in both playoff games. So yeah, look, he's an unbelievable player, very underrated. If I'm a championship club, I'll be signing him. To be honest, still him to go, but I'm surprised. I think his size puts a lot of people off. They look at him and go, "Oh, he's too small," but he's so good on the ball.
An advantage. I think that's an advantage, Sam, because it's his low centre of gravity.
Yeah, totally agree. So good on the ball, dictates play, takes it off the back three, can link well with the strikers, can play in the number 6, 8, or number 10. What a player he is, and he's massive. He was one of Scott's first signings last summer, and people were like, "Oh, why are we signing a player who's been relegated at Rochdale?" Well, any League One team should have been signing him last summer, and a big part of why we got in the playoffs and obviously had our day out at Wembley.
Certainly was. You've also got Jay Williams, who complemented Liam Kelly really well last season, I thought.
Yeah, they work really well together. I mean, Jay wins absolutely everything in midfield, and he really supports Liam to kind of do his thing. And Jay will sometimes slot into the back three to make it a 4, but he's just so tenacious in the tackle, wins everything in the air, and he's just such a winner, an unbelievable winner. He had the captain's armband a few times last season. And again, another player, a younger player who anyone could sign in League One, low ends of Championship. Obviously, don't want to go, but yeah, what a find! I mean, he signed for Banbury United in the National League North. And then we went and paid a fee for him, and everyone's like, "Why are we signing this guy who just signed for Banbury United?" Well, what a signing he was.
Mm. Yeah, certainly was, and I can see how they complement each other so nicely because you've got Liam Kelly with that quick mind and the way he uses the ball, and you've got Jay Williams who's super tenacious and combative and as well. So I think they make a nice pairing. But you've also brought in Anthony Papadopoulos, another one from the non-league market.
Yeah. I mean, he's had a good grounding in the Premier League academy, and he's also gone out to Welling, and he's played a few games in the EFL Trophy for football in the football league. So, yeah, I mean, look, similar signs that we said about earlier, similar signs sort of Jay Williams and Lolos, and let's give him a chance. 21 years old, so giving him a long deal, can come in, put his mark on the team, and see what he can do. But a big step up. But look, the recruitment strategy after last season, yes, people might not have heard of him, might not have seen him a lot, but we've got to trust it. And the good thing is the two players signed so far, all the fans from both clubs have said how good they are. So every single one hasn't seen a bad comment about them. So when that happens, you know you're signing a good player.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's you know, I quite like the principle of signing up and coming players. I guess I'm just kind of concerned maybe that for the level of League One where you know, it's going to be dominated by clubs who have got massive financial resources. If I look at the players who you've got right now that I think are going to be good enough for that step up, I'm thinking Corey Addai, Dion Conroy, Jay Williams, Liam Kelly. But I'm kind of struggling a little bit beyond that. Maybe you'd add Charlie Barker to that equation because of what he's done in the National League. But I do think there's going to be a challenge for some of these players to make that step up because it is going to be a humongous leap, I think.
Yeah, I can see a point of view, but then we were the bookies' favourites to get relegated last season. So I think that'll be the first answer of any Crawley fan. We never thought Jay Williams would step up, Lolos will step up. We're right, we'd be able to do it. Corey could do it, etc., etc., and they all did it, and did it really well. So. Yeah, look, I'm sure we're going to sign some experienced players. Obviously, it's a bit of breaking news, isn't it? Orsi's leaving. I'm sure the fans are a bit disappointed because we lost 4 key players from last season and kind of haven't signed anyone with EFL experience. But look, I'm pretty sure we're going to do that. Got to give it some time. The lads aren't even back to training on Monday yet. It's only Wednesday today. I'm sure there'll be a few more faces on the training pitch on Monday, getting ready for the season. Season's the start. I know fixtures are out today. Everyone's side. Season's the start for a long time yet. Anyway. So, yeah, I'm confident there's 4 worse teams than us. Don't worry about
that. Okay, right. Fighting talk there from Sam. So talk to me about the number 10 position because you've got a few players who can play there. I suppose that you might play with 2 number 10s, which you did a lot last season. You've got Clyde Lolos there. You've got Ronan Darcy. Jack Rolls was a bit of a substitute option last year, and then you've got Rafiq Khalil, who's another talented young lad coming through.
Yeah, I said on our Simply Redz podcast the other day that actually Jack Rolls didn't play much last season, but he played really well in the EFL Trophy, and kind of when he did, he either got injured after or the league team were playing really well, and we just give him a 2-year deal. I think he might actually play more in League One, and his style of play is fantastic. He can find a pass probably actually better than Liam Kelly, if I'm being honest with you. Probably not as consistent, but definitely up there. And it's a case of how do you get both into the same team. But Jack Rolls definitely at number 10 role. Obviously, Adam Campbell leaving. For me, Rolls slots straight into that role. And that's probably what Scott's thinking. And then obviously Lolos can play number 10, but he can also play up front. I think he's better playing number 10 because he comes from deep and can run with the ball. Yeah.
But he can drive forward with it, doesn't it, and get shots away.
Yeah, and Ronan Darcy can play anywhere. I mean, he's played both wing-back roles. He's played number 6, number 8, number 10, and he's a fantastic player as well. So we've got lots of options. But I think with Orsi and Campbell going, we're probably going to strengthen in the number 10 or number 9 role, and could see some competition for the likes of Rolls and Lolos in there.
That makes a lot of sense. How do you feel Rafiq Khalil's getting on with his development? And do you think he'll get some minutes next season, or are we looking at a loan out for him?
Well, it's interesting. Scott's first game a season and a half ago was against Salford, and Raf started kind of out of the blue. No one really expected him to be playing, and he played well, and didn't get a lot of game time last season. But obviously, when you've got the likes of Liam Kelly, Jay Williams, etc., playing midfield, Raf kind of had a few substitute appearances, so it'll be interesting actually. I would imagine he might get a loan move to a National League team. It depends obviously how we strengthen and maybe how we fare in the first few games of the EFL Trophy and the Carabao Cup. But yeah, he's definitely got potential. He had a trial at West Ham. West Ham didn't take any further forward, but he's definitely got potential. But I do think he needs a run of games at a National League standard to kind of get some minutes under his belt and some experience, and maybe then come back.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got so the Danilo Orsi's exit for Burton is clearly a big blow. Especially to what would be a relegation rival. But I suppose you've got Claudio Lollos, who might play up top, but you think he's better in the 10 role. But you've also got Sonny Fish there, who I don't think he played much last season, but he's again another one who's done well in non-league and would be hoping to see if he can make that step up. But it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, he went out on loan and he scored a few goals. So we'll see. I'm sure we'll get it going pre-season. But if Scott couldn't see him getting in the League Two side last season, I think it'd be a big step up for him to get in the League One side this season. So it might be a loan move for him. But the thing is with football, as you know, in pre-season, these players can come back, and if we haven't fully filled the squad yet, he might get a chance and score a few goals, and then kind of could make the position his own. So yeah, we'll see on that one, I think.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So where do you think the club is at structurally, Sam? Because we saw last season that Wagner United took a bit of a backward step from the sort of day-to-day running of the club. So have you got people in terms of day-to-day operations above Scott Lindsey that you feel like you trust to make good decisions? Because evidently you did get quite a lot right last season.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the way the structure at the club runs, obviously you've got the ownership group, and we've only got one chairman now. There was Preston Johnson who stepped down and left Eben Smith now on his own. Eben Smith is kind of the big man behind the recruitment strategy, and there's a guy who does all the data, but Eben handles most of the transfers. But the club staff, I mean, we've got the least full-time staff in the Football League. And they work very hard. They love the club. They've been there a long time, and they do everything they can to keep us what is a small football league club ticking over. I mean, you look at the 72 EFL clubs, we're going to be in the bottom three in terms of size. Yeah. However, we've sold record season tickets this season. We're nearly 50% up on last season's season ticket sales. The 600 new season ticket holders, and bear in mind we only had 1,200 last year. Season ticket prices are lowest in the league. Match day prices are really reasonable. So I think you'll see the little Broadfield Stadium packed out next season. And a lot of people forget, when we were in League One last time, we won at Sheffield United, we won at Preston, we beat the likes of Bournemouth at home and Wolves at home. So look, Birmingham and Huddersfield aren't going to want to come to little old Crawley. And we've got Charlton away on a Tuesday night. They're not going to want to host us on a Tuesday night. So yeah, look, everyone off the pitch done a remarkable job to get us to League One. No one's expecting us to do anything next season, like nothing. We shouldn't even be in the Football League. If you look at the bookings, we should be in the National League, and now we're in League One. So yeah, the club staff done fantastic. Obviously, club's made a bit of money, haven't they, off the Wembley run? Yeah, we've got that lovely trophy, haven't we? We've got a lovely trophy in the cabinet for this season to enjoy.
Does the club need to reinvest some of the Danilo Orsi money into maybe improving the structure of the club to help it bridge some of that gap to League One? Because if you look at it, Crawley Town have got to try. I know how hard it is because, like you say, bottom three of the Football League in terms of size of club, it's an enormous challenge. But if we're thinking, how do Crawley Town try their best to get to grips with that challenge? I think part of it is, can we put a little bit of the money that we receive for Danilo Orsi into our internal operations just to make us a bit more League One ready as a football club?
Yeah, totally agree. If we're being really honest, I talked to Eben Smith quite a bit about the structure of the club and the role I've got with the fans. And we talk a lot about how we need a commercial manager to go out there and ride the wave and get some really strong commercial deals. Marketing, 17,040 fans went to Wembley. Can only fit 4,500, 5,000 in our stadium. So can we get those back? So I actually totally agree with you. We do need to invest in the off-field structure. The guys off the pitch do a fantastic job, but they can't do everything. They're stretched thin. And I think, interestingly, the last time we got to League One, We only had 3 years in League One, and I think we missed a trick when we had our Old Trafford trip the season before we got promoted to League One, and we probably should have invested that money in a training ground. So
was that the one where Richard Brodie hit the post?
Hit the bar right in the last minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in hindsight, we probably should have invested in a training ground. Lincoln City did very similar when they had the FA Cup run and played Arsenal.
Yeah.
So we're training at the Falmer in Brighton, but yeah, I mean, we obviously haven't earned that sort of money from Wembley. But yeah, look, the difficulty is our football club is punching well above its weight, and you kind of need to invest on the pitch to stay in the football league. You need to invest off the pitch to grow. And when you're only getting 4,500 fans through the gate, that's a big challenge. So it's about getting the balance right. But yeah, we do need to invest off the pitch to grow and become more self-sustainable, or as self-sustainable as possible.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Expectations. It's funny, we had a bit of fun about this because I sort of said in the WhatsApp I inferred that the expectation would be to stay up, and you were like, no, it's back-to-back promotions. But I think you want to be sort of ambitious about your club. You want to be optimistic. You want to feel like your club is striving for something more than survival. At the same time, you've kind of got to be a bit realistic as well about what the sort of the ocean that you've sort of stepped into after being a small fish in a small pond in League Two. So yeah, I guess just talk to me about how you square those two things as a fan.
Yeah, I think as I see it, I'm not a pessimistic fan, but as a Crawley fan who's been to more Green and Cirencester, watching some of the Dr. Martens League, and now we're in the EFL. At the start of every season, I try and identify 2 teams that are going to finish below us in League Two and how quickly you can reach 50 points. Now I've got about 4 teams below us in a very strong league, and it's been funny because everyone was saying last season how strong League Two is going to be with Stockport, Mansfield, and Wrexham in it. Well, now they're in League One. So if you look at the 4 teams that come up, 3 of them are really strong, big budgets, big football clubs. The 3 teams that come down from the Championship. Sometimes you get one of the 3 clubs who are struggling financially, but actually Birmingham and Huddersfield aren't. And Rotherham have gone and signed, well, what Steve Evans does very well, a ton load of players. So,
Sam, as a Birmingham City fan, we've got a 20 million budget.
Well, there you go.
I don't know if you'll quite match that one.
That's our budget for a decade, fact. Yeah, I mean, look, I'll be really honest with you. If we finish 5th bottom, we'll be having similar celebrations to what we did when we got to Wembley, I think. Sure. But having said that, and the bookies got it wrong last season, I can understand I'll be favourites to go down this season. I do think we'll surprise a few this season. Obviously, a lot of teams will look at the way we play and kind of identify how they worked that out from last season. But we mainly struggled in the games last year where teams just tried to sit back and be defensive, and we sometimes tried to struggle to break them down. But I think more teams will try and play better football this season. So the way I look at it, we need probably 14 wins. 14 wins to be safe. So can we win a third of our games? As I alluded to earlier, if we can pack that Broadfield Stadium and make it really intimidating when teams come to us, they're not going to like it. I mean, look at Birmingham with look at Birmingham. Was it Tom Brady who runs Birmingham? So yeah. He's gone from his lovely away days at all those big Championship football clubs, and now he's coming to the Broadfield Stadium. So he's not going to like that one, is he?
No, Tom Brady's actually, I think, involved in some sort of ambassadorial role. So it's actually Tom Wagner who's our owner. But yeah, that'll certainly be an interesting one, wouldn't it? Where was I? In terms of so budgetary, it's a huge stretch, but hopefully you can try and find 4 teams to finish above. Yeah, I think winning a third of your games is going to be difficult. I think more realistically, you want to try and win 1 in 4 and then grab a few smash and grab points. Do you know what I mean? From some of those places where you wouldn't expect to get them, but you try and battle for them. So I think you win 1 in 4 and then you draw 1 in 4. That gets you to around 46 points. So hopefully you can get there. So we've said the expectations are survival. What are the reasons to believe that you'll achieve your ambitions this season then?
I think what Scott did with the squad he had last season is remarkable. The way he got them bonding together. It was them against the world. No one believed in them. Even a lot of supporters never expected us to do anything and kind of only really believed in the last 10, 15 games. And I think he'll do that again. I'm not saying we're going to get promoted, but I think he'll get that squad thinking and believing, and he'll absolutely thrive off going to these big clubs and trying to get results. And I think last season,
Do you know what, as well, Sam, just to jump in there, I think Scott Lindsey is going to stick to his principles. And I'm kind of curious to see, because obviously there'll be some people who say you've got to be sort of pragmatic when you go to these big grounds. But actually, I think you can maybe, optimistically, you might be able to catch a few teams out playing that way, especially, I think, at Broadfield.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the way we play, we can break teams down. We can break teams down on counter attack, and we can run in behind them. So even at home, when teams are coming at us, we can counter attack them. And also, how many teams are going to come to the Broadfield Stadium and sit back? Probably not many, and that suits us. We had a game in April against Barrow, and they literally 10 men behind the ball, and we couldn't break them down, and we got a draw. But I'm not sure many teams in League One are going to come to us and sit back, and that should help us. Whereas last season, a lot of teams came to us and respected us quite well. MK Dons in the first leg of the playoffs, I couldn't believe how much they respected us and sat back.
You know what? I was amazed about that, Sam, because MK Dons weren't pressing at all in their first leg, and yet the second leg, right at the start of the second leg at Stadium MK, when you were the ones who had a massive advantage, you were actually way more aggressive than MK Dons were in the first leg with a 3-0 lead, which is absolutely mental.
Yeah. I mean, our first goal at MK was Jay Williams, the defensive central midfielder, the pivot, pressing on the edge of their box, and obviously you got the ball. 4-0, game over, party time. But yeah, Scott won't change his beliefs, that's for sure. He'll get a team together. He want to play his own way. The players who are here from last season will obviously continue that, and hopefully we can build on it and get that magic fifth bottom space.
Absolutely. Hopefully you can do that. So I think Scott Lindsey really is the big reason to believe, because of the miracles that he worked last season and how good a leader he is for the football club. If I had to ask you for a reason for doubt, what would you sort of put forward?
I think the doubts are obvious. Is we've lost some key players from last season. Are we going to replace them? If we do replace them, who are they going to be replaced with, and how are they going to settle into the team and hit the ground running? That's probably the biggest concern that every fan will have. But I think the club and the ownership group deserve a bit of faith and a bit of trust after what they delivered last season. And let's give them a few weeks to get those players in. I'm sure they're not going to let our top goal scorer go and two of our centre halves go without replacing them. So yeah, let's give them the opportunity to bring players in, and Scott will get to work with them on the training ground.
We're looking at about 6 or 7 more additions, do you think?
Yeah, probably. It depends how big a squad Scott wants, I think. We released quite a few players who weren't getting any game time. Scott kind of had a real nucleus of a team who he liked and kind of trusted. I imagine he'll do the same this season, quality rather than quantity. So yeah, I think 6 or 7 sounds about right.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I think probably another 2 or 3 defenders, definitely another wing back, depending on which side you reckon Forster plays. Probably another midfielder to compete with Kelly and Williams. And you look good for number 10s, I would say, despite Adam Campbell's exit. But then another couple of strikers, certainly at least one, depending on where you are with Sonny Fish. So, yeah, going to be really interesting to see where things play out in terms of the transfer window. A bit of work still to be done with those departures. So give me a number. Too early for a prediction, Sam. Give me a number between 1 and 10 to denote your level of optimism for next season.
Well, you're asking me half an hour after our top goal scorer got started. If you'd asked me an hour ago, it may have been a different answer. Sorry, excuse me. Well, it depends. Optimism for what? For staying up, or
yeah, optimism for staying up. Yeah.
Let's go 7.
7. Okay. Nice. He's putting a positive, going positive there. Perfect. Well, listen, Sam, it's been such a pleasure to get you on. Keep up the great work with the Simply Redz podcast. Tom's from Burton Albion fan has asked what's Orsi like. I think it's too soon, Tom. Let the man grieve.
Well, it's interesting because Orsi played up front on his own for us, so it'd be interesting what side of play Burton want to play with him. Whether play 2 up front or 1 up front. He's not going to hold the ball up. He's not going to be a person to win the ball and now hold the ball up. Really, he likes to run in behind and get in the right areas in the box. So yeah, we'll see. But obviously, all I care about now is beating Burton.
Brilliant. Well, listen, thanks so much for your time. Thanks to you for watching at home. Get yourself subscribed to EFL Debate on Spotify and on YouTube. Get your comments in below. Let me know what you think Crawley are going to do this season, and we'll see you again very soon.